Hey, hey, hey. Put on these headphones. Hey, guys. So I'm like streaming from StreamYard, which I'm not necessarily used to doing. So I don't even know if I'm streaming right now. I got to go check. All right. So if I am streaming and you can hear me, I decided that I wanted to do a little, kind of a late night deal. Q&A. God, why is the thumbnail to this that? Let me go here. I've never tried this before. Hey guys, just pouring in. Hold on, let me get this set up. Let me get it set up real quick. I kind of clicked on it too soon without preparing necessarily. Hey. I see some people are coming into the chat. All right. Live streaming. You guys don't know, like YouTube has made it so difficult for no reason to stream. They keep trying to force everybody to use their new YouTube streamer thing, which like sucks and nobody wants to use it because it's terrible. I'm like, can I just get my old thing back? Can it just be like it once was? So let me just set this up and then I'll start answering some of you guys' questions. I need to do a screen cap. I'm having an issue with my Windows laptop where the search is no longer working. 1 second, guys. I know this must be quite the riveting stream with me just staring at nothing and talking to no one. But I'll just figure this out. Right, so if you're here, you should probably stay because I've got a surprise later on and I'm not going to leave this stream up. How do I, okay, snip and sketch is what I need. Okay, thank you. I didn't know Windows invented a new snipping tool. Why couldn't they just keep the old one? Okay. And capture that. And save it. Almost ready. All right, I'm about to look at the chat in a second, so hopefully you guys have said some good things in the chat that I can look at and that I don't go to look at. All right. What's going on, folks in the chat? Just got notified. Quinn, why don't you really like Star Wars? You know, Star Wars, I just never got into Star Wars. Star Wars was just never my deal. It was never... I know a lot of people are really nostalgic about Star Wars, but for me, it was just never the deal. I never cared. So I never cared. I know a lot of people saw it in the 70s when it was first coming out. And a lot of people, like my cousins and my brothers, really liked the prequels when they were out. But for me, it was just like, nah, no thanks. Tell me how I'm sounding. Is all my sound good? Do I sound now nice and loud and clear? Let me move the mic because the last time I streamed, that was apparently an issue. Quinn kept going in and out. No sound. Who wrote the pink letter? I think it was Ramsey. Quinn, you ever read the Night's Dawn trilogy by P.F. Hamilton? I have not. But you say it feels like I would like it. Well, I'll add it to my list. I have not read it as of right now. At least you won't be disappointed by the new movies. You mean Star Wars? Yeah, I've never... I mean, I haven't seen the most recent one that came out last year. But I saw the other two that came out, the ones that were a part of the main trilogy. You know, I just had no desire to go back and see the other Star Wars movies. I'm just like, whatever, it's probably more the same. So I just never really cared. I did see Star Trek Picard, which, regardless of, all the stupid hate that I've been seeing, Star Trek Picard has been the first episode of Picard I thought was really well done. So I'll just leave it at that. Someone says, Quinn, you should talk about Picard. See, I was just starting to. I guess I can give you a little bit of what I thought about the show. Well, as far as like Star Trek, I've always been like super emotionally attached to Picard and then especially Data from the Next Generation. I love that show. It's really close to my heart. Data's whole struggle to find his humanity, to find the part of him inside of himself that was human, even though he was a cybernetic organism, was always very important to me, and it was always very close to me. And Picard is, someone that I've looked up to for a really long time. And then to see, all of these, these different ideas brought back in Star Trek and Picard in the new show, and to have them being done so well, and to see a Picard, to see a Patrick Stewart that really wants to be there and is really, really is having fun in this role that he's in. It really tugged on my heartstrings, and I don't see how you could call yourself a fan of Captain Picard or call yourself a fan of Next Generation and then not be emotionally moved by this. I just don't get it. I just think a lot of it is like reactionary culture. People just want to hate on Star Trek Picard because they feel like it's like SJW or whatever. But I'm like, if you are seriously calling yourself a Star Trek fan, but then complaining about woke Star Trek, then like I don't really buy it, because everything about, Gene Roddenberry's vision and what he was trying to do and what he was trying to say, especially with Star Trek Next Generation, is, they live in a socialist utopia. Like I mean, it's all about, they find a random alien, floating in space, and they're going to help that alien and give him, healthcare. They're going to treat that person regardless if it's an enemy or anything. So to have Picard in the new show be like, I left the Federation because it was no longer the Federation. The Federation turned its back on its principles. Then I'm like, that is the most Picard thing that Picard would do. That is Picard, right? So I see people that are being like, "Oh my God, I love Star Trek so much, but this is not the Picard I know." I don't know what Picard you know, but that's the Picard that I know. So like F off with it. And like I said, I was very emotional throughout it, and I thought that first episode was legit. And anybody that's just nitpicking and complaining, especially after just this first episode, is full of it. I can say that, because like I didn't like Discovery. I thought Discovery was like mad to like bad, but Picard, no, that is Picard. That is Trek. Give me a break. Give me a break. All right, so I got that out of my system. Rick Hope says, Picard is my man. Exactly. I look up to that dude. Look up to that dude, man. And to have people that probably don't even look up to Picard or even care about his whole philosophy, or like really don't even understand what he's all about, to have them be crapping on it and trying to be like, oh, they're trying to make Star Trek woke. That's what kills me, right? For anyone to even suggest that they're trying to make Star Trek woke, as if that's like a new thing, and that as if Star Trek hasn't always been, woke. Right? The second season of Next Generation, they were discussing Deanna Troi having an abortion. Like, are you kidding me? Star Trek has always been woke. So give me a break, crybabies. Like, Star Trek Picard is not like, it's not bad. So screw off. You see, Carlos Tresser says, I love Discovery. See, it didn't hit me right. I got to go back and watch it one of these days. I tried twice, but I couldn't get behind Discovery just yet. Thank you for your super chat, Joseph Smith. Mormonism explained. Cool. Thank you so much for your super chat. Mother of Krakens, I'll follow Picard anywhere. I love that man. Well, you know what was so awesome about that first episode of Picard was that it felt so much like the finale of TNG, All Good Things, where it's like Picard, he's old on his vineyard, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go on one final mission, right? I'm not just gonna sit here and wait to die, right? If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die being Picard. And I don't see how anyone can be like, I'm a fan of Picard, and then not be emotionally moved by that. I don't see how you can be like, I'm a fan of Data, and not be emotionally moved by those scenes and those dream sequences with Data. I don't see how you can claim to be attached to Data and Picard and his story, and then not feel ripped apart and feel it in your heart when you see before inside of that little shelf, and before it gets pulled out of that little shelf. I don't see how that can't touch your heart. I don't see how the plot line of Data always wanting a daughter, which is something that was set up in Next Generation, because Data created a daughter in Next Generation and she died. So I don't see how you can say that's a shoehorn plot when that's something that was set up in Next Generation. Did you watch Next Generation? Did you watch it? Yeah, Data always wanted a daughter. Yeah, that was a plot Data wanted to create life, because he was the only one of his kind. He always wanted more, I mean, so give me a break. Give me a break. I feel like a lot of that hate that's coming for this show is just manufactured reactionary BS. And it's a lot of people that aren't even real fans, as far as I'm concerned. I like Picard, but woke means racist. I mean, if that's what it means to you, generally when people say woke, what they mean is that they think a show is like inserting like a leftist agenda, which is like to say, to complain about, imagine complaining about Star Trek of all things inserting a leftist agenda. Do you know who Gene Roddenberry was? Read a book, and when you find out, then call me back. Did you see The Watchmen? Yeah, I saw The Watchmen. I really liked it. I thought it was, honestly, Watchmen is one of those things where I know Alan Moore like hated it, or he didn't see it. He doesn't want it to exist. But I thought Watchmen was pretty respectful. I think if he gave it a chance, he might like it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Watchmen. As long as it's better than Enterprise and Discovery, I'll probably like it. It's miles better than Enterprise and Discovery. Miles beyond that. See, Discovery for me was crap. I thought it was derivative. I haven't seen the second season. People say it gets better, but for me, it was just like, nope. Quinn, what is your favorite part of A Song of Ice and Fire lore? Any particular period in the world of Ice and Fire? Well, one part of, I guess, the lore that I've become increasingly interested in is Yi Ti, the Empire of the Dawn. I'd like to know more about them and like what types of magics they employed and what they were all about. But there's not a lot about it, so we have to speculate a lot. But that's part of what I'm super interested in. Aaron J says, do you think Frank Herbert was homophobic? No, I don't think so. And, actually, you can go back. There's an interview of Frank Herbert. I think he's out of college. It's from 1985, if I'm not mistaken. And it's the same interview where I think I pulled that clip from my Dune Messiah episode where Frank Herbert is talking about what he wrote the Dune Saga for. But basically, I guess an activist student comes up to him and he starts essentially like screaming, yelling at Frank Herbert about the Baron and how the Baron is gay and how the Baron is a negative representation for gay people. But then Frank Herbert is really just like, no, it's not about that. It's about, the fact that he's decadent and he's super, super gluttonous. And for him, enough is never enough. Right. So I get where people are coming from, where they're like, oh, the Baron, the only like gay character in Dune, is like evil and sadistic, a murderer and rapist and all those horrible things. But it's really not about the fact that he is gay and more about the fact that enough is never enough and that he's like extremely decadent. But I don't think Frank Herbert was a homophobe. All right. Street Guru says, I liked Enterprise more than Voyager. For me, Voyager felt like a spinoff of Next Generation, right? Whereas Deep Space Nine was trying to be like its own little thing. Voyager was like Next Generation, but then it's like, because that's the thing. I felt like Voyager had such a good plot where it was like they're lost in space in a different quadrant and they can't get back. It'll take them a whole lifetime to get back. And so there's all this new stuff to explore, but I just felt like the characters in Voyager fell short way too often. And Voyager did pick up after 7 of 9 got involved, like later on. So I will give it that. Stephen, I can't pronounce it. I'm so bad at pronouncing names, guys. But Stephen K, thank you so much for your super chat. First live stream I've caught. I've been watching you for about 3 years. Do you think Martin will kill Littlefinger as callously as in the show? I personally love Baelish's character in both the books and the show. I mean, well, Littlefinger will get what's coming to him, but I think you got to kill him better than what they did in Game of Thrones. Obviously, the Game of Thrones, what they did was such a travesty. It wasn't respectful for the character. It didn't build there. It just felt like it was shoehorned is what it was, and it just wasn't very good. So I definitely think George R. Martin's taking him out, and he might have a pretty gruesome death. He might go out hard, but I don't think he's going to go out the way he did in the show. No. For you, did Patrick Stewart really perform well as Picard in the new series? And which ways did his acting affect you the most? Oh my God, Picard! Let me tell you, like that was Picard. Patrick Stewart wants to be there. And that's what makes me upset about the fake fans that call themselves fans. If you can't watch this and see that this man wants to be here and that he saw something in this show that made him say, I'm rich, I'm an old man, it's been 20 years, 30 years since I've been Picard or whatever, I'm going to come back and do this because I feel like this is important and this matters. It shows. I was tearing up in the first scene. I was tearing up in that interview scene. I was tearing up when he was talking to the cybernetic data daughter chick. I was tearing up when he was talking about how I've just been waiting to die. I don't want to wait. I don't want to stay here and wait to die. I want to go off and be Picard again. Like that was it, man. Anybody that calls himself a fan, anybody like me that's been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to see, where's Picard now? What happened after Nemesis? Anybody that's been, there's no way you can't be emotionally impacted by it. That's what I'm saying. Shill Stream says Hanafi Din. Not sure what that means. We're just chatting, Chill out, people. By the way, if you're here, might as well throw in a like button. Hit the like button, it'd be cool. All right. So what's next? What else is on you guys' minds? What do you think of Martin's opinion that video games aren't really art? I don't know. He said that a while ago, maybe, I think. I don't remember exactly what he said, but maybe his opinion has changed since he's been working on his game, Elden Ring, because, video games are like a bunch of different art put together, right? So it's a bunch of different things. It's a bunch of different things. Yeah, Anguli Kemen says, I felt like Voyager was trying to be like the original Star Trek. And I think they succeeded in doing so without the overwhelming male POV that dominated the original Star Trek. See, yeah, I do. Yeah, I can see that. Hello, Quinn. Extremely big fan. Not at all looking for publicity, but ever since I started watching your channel, I've always wanted to share my writing with you. Any way I could contact you with you. Well, you could email me. You can find the email address on the front page of my channel. And you can click over. It'll be under there. It's on there somewhere. One day we'll have a Wheel of Time TV show, says Stephen K. So that's probably is it Nizek or Kiznzek? I can't say it. One day we'll have a Wheel of Time show. Yeah, I know it's on the horizon, man. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the casting. It's very exciting. Looking forward to see what happens with that for sure. Lori A.K. Lolo says, I love your passion, and I hope you've been able to read my interview email. Well, I haven't. I got to check my email for this week, so I'll probably end up seeing it whenever I do check it, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. The servant says, I'm trying to read Dune, but I'm confused on which one to read first. Well, if you're going to read Dune, you got to start with the original book, Dune, by Frank Herbert. So it's just Dune, Frank Herbert. You read that one, and I would say read the Frank Herbert ones, and then after Chapter House, you want to go into the final two that are written by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, Hunters and Sandworms, if you want to complete the whole saga. And then you can go back and read all the House books. There's books that, like Paul of Dune, is in between Dune and Dune Messiah, so it fills in some of those gaps. There's House Atreides, which is directly before the book Dune. There's House Harkonnen, House Carino. And then there's like the Sisterhood of Dune, which is about the early stages of the Bene Gesserit. The Machine Crusade, that series, the Prelude to Dune series, which is the, about the Butler and Jihad and all that stuff. So there's a lot of content. But I would say start with the Frank Herbert original 6. So that's Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. I got a super chat from Shane the Pain 13. Hey Quinn, I'm about halfway through Heretics of Dune. I'm just really not feeling it. Should I skip to Chapter House or finish Heretics? Definitely finish it, even if you're not feeling it, because things happen in that book that are relevant to what goes down in Chapter House. So definitely finish it. Joseph Smith, Mormonism Explained, says, how would you like to see George R. Martin and Daenerys plotline in the books? How would you like to see John's plotline? And well, you see, that's the thing when it comes to reading a book series that I really like. It's not so much. I don't need Daenerys' story or John's story to end happy, right? I don't need it to end on like this. Oh, we're gonna go off and live happily ever forever. But I think the journey to bring these characters to their end has to come full circle, and it has to be significant, and we have to feel it, and we have to understand where they are. So like I'm saying, if like Daenerys does snap and Daenerys does go mad, it should be tragic. It shouldn't just be like, oh my God, I'm suddenly crazy, burning everyone. It should be like, oh my God, how did she get to this point? Um, and yeah, so I need it to be done well more so than see it come to like a place where, that I'm just like, oh my God, that's good for me and my sensibilities. I'm fine with George R. Martin hurting me a little bit. I just want it to be a good story and an impactful story and one that sticks with me, if that makes any sense. Any thoughts on the controversy over Fate of Cthulhu having a disclaimer that Lovecraft was racist? Yeah, I didn't know about that, but I think that's a little silly. I think it's a little silly. If you look up any documentary on Lovecraft, you know that he had xenophobic tendencies. That's true. But people can decide these things for themselves. You know what I mean? A lot of the things that you read and watch are created by people that aren't good people. And when it comes to someone like Lovecraft who's been dead for like 100 years, I think it matters even less. It's not like you're supporting him. He's dead. He's not getting your money. So I mean, I think it shouldn't really matter that much, as long as you can recognize that and see it for what it is, but then read the series or just read what he's writing and then I guess have that in mind. But there's no use in getting your knickers over a twist because a man that lived 100 years ago was a racist and he wrote some scary stories. Dolapo Fayemi, you guys kill me with these names. Dolapo Fayemi says, what do you think of Vinny Villeneuve? Oh, Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve. That's his name. Doing another Blade Runner side story. Also, you hear about the Blade Runner anime done by Production Instagram or IG, not Instagram. I think if Denis Villeneuve wants to do another Blade Runner story, I think he should, because Blade Runner 2049 was great. I'd like to see anything that he could do in this universe. As far as a Blade Runner anime, go for it. And if they could make it, I'd like to see a direct adaptation of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, right? I'd like to see that, but that could be cool. The Blade Runner universe is huge and expansive and deep and rich and full of so much. And there's a lot of stories to be told there, no doubt. 94 Evangelion says, hey man, I love your videos. Anyway, A Song of Ice and Fire question. Why do people tend to ignore / neglect Sansa compared to Arya? I mean, Sansa's pretty badass too. I agree to an extent. I understand why people have certain gripes with Sansa, just because I think that type of character is more difficult to connect with for some people, right? Because you have Arya, who's like very much this rambunctious kind of underdog, and she's like, I don't want to fit into this role that society has given me. And you've got Sansa, who's very much like, I was born to fit in this role, and this is what I am. So for a lot of the series, you just see her as kind of this like kind of empty-headed little girl that doesn't really know much and has all these ideas, and she's very. Whereas Arya becomes awakened to the real nature of the world very quickly. Sansa has trouble letting go of like kind of those like little fantasies. So she can come across as super naive and kind of annoying sometimes. But I think after she escapes King's Landing, that storyline is on an upward trajectory, and she does go through a lot. And I feel like she's been through, I mean, a significant amount of emotional trauma. I mean, I don't want to compare people's trauma, but Sansa's been through it, especially the show version of Sansa, where she gets like taken to Ramsay and brutalized for a really long time. But even the book Sansa, she's been through it. Arya's been traumatized and Sansa's been traumatized, right? So I think ultimately they have a different kind of strength, right? I think if you reverse the roles, Sansa would have died in Arya's place, and then Arya would have died in Sansa's place. I don't know if Arya would have been able to play the role and been able to be, kept in King's Landing against her will. I think Arya, might have not survived that the way Sansa did. So they both have different sets of skills and different strengths, and that is the deal. Ian Halloran says Bernie Sanders. I mean, you already know. Have you seen my Twitter page? Have you seen my Twitter feed? You already know. Yeah. 2020, baby. Maria, I don't know how to pronounce it, says, do you think Dune had the same impact for sci-fi as The Lord of the Rings did for fantasy? To an extent, yeah. Because I mean, really, you can't discount Asimov, right? And then laying the groundwork and foundation for the galactic empire. But Dune, Frank Herbert with Dune really did come in and just, expand upon all those ideas and just make it, he Frank Herbert had a magic touch, and that awakened something in the sci-fi genre, and a lot of people borrow from it. So yeah, I would say to a certain degree, but you have Tolkien, who really, I think Tolkien probably had a bigger impact, because Tolkien, people borrow things like elves from Tolkien and orcs, things that he invented. He's kind of a master, and some of those things that Tolkien invented with Lord of the Rings, with that series, are so fundamental to fantasy and this whole genre that without it, the whole the whole genre won't be totally different. Bo Cole says, I am a big fan. Are you going to do the Expanse books and show? The books, definitely. I haven't had a chance to watch the show, but I am making my way through the books, and that is definitely happening. I will be definitely doing some coverage of the Expanse at some point in history. Yeah, and at some point before this stream is over, guys, I'm going to be reading a little bit. Just a little bit, guys. A little bit of the script for my graphic novel, Tadia, which is all done. And in a few minutes, I'm going to read a little bit of the script, just a little bit at the beginning, to give you guys a little taste of what's going on. This is my my binder with the script, and it's got all my concept art in it. It's very valuable. I'm going to keep it till I die. So stay tuned, because I will not be keeping this stream up. This stream will not be on the channel later on. It might be getting posted to Patreon later on. So yeah, this is an exclusive thing. So if you want to get this sneak peek, you gotta stay. All right. So I'm gonna be reading like just the first little section of it. First little section of Tadia. So we're super excited. Still not ready to announce who will be drawing the internal art for the book, but the artist is really good, and I'm getting ready to turn the script over to him, and I'm very excited about it. So you guys are gonna get a sneak peek just coming up here in a few moments. But let me answer a few more questions before we do that. Q&A, will Dorn play more of a role in Winds of Winter? Also, did the hype die after the show messed it up? Well, Dorn is definitely playing another role, because we have Dorn's Martell's plan. He's setting things in motion. And as far as like the show kill a bunch of the hype, yes. I think there's a lot of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire people that are not exactly being honest about this. I have seen a decline in just hype for A Song of Ice and Fire, and then hype for the show. I have seen a decline. I have, but at the core, I think George R. R. Martin still has his audience, and I think the people that have always thought about the books intelligently, and thought about themes, and thought about what's actually inside of these and thought about character motivations and why they're doing the things they're doing. Really people that are really into the books and really recognize what George R. R. Martin is doing, they're still there. But the general, oh, I'm just here for the big spectacle, Game of Thrones, yeah, that has died down, definitely. Will Tadia be a manga-sized or book-sized? Well, you see, we're releasing Tadia in 4 different volumes. The first volume will be coming out this year, and the first volume is approximately 48 pages, but it might end up being a little bit longer. It was really hard for me to try and squeeze this first little volume into 48 like comic pages. So it's comic pages, so it's actually more story than you probably find so it's 48 pages of a comic. So yeah, and then it's three volumes, and so the next one might be longer, almost certainly, and then one after that will almost certainly be longer as well. But I feel like I've squeezed a lot into these 48 pages, right? And I was looking at a lot of people. I was looking at like Neil Gaiman. I was looking at Alan Moore. I was looking at all the greats and seeing how much they can squeeze into just a few pages. Like, if they can do that, then I can get like this start for this series into this page, but yeah. Joseph Smith, Mormonism Explained. Thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. Says, how do you feel about Kelia kills herself after she killed her son, Victor, and mutilated her brother? How do you feel about, and how do you feel that affected the Duke? I don't exactly know what you're talking about. Are you talking? Hmm. Okay. Delapo Fayimi says, "I'm drunk and up." LOL. You have a favorite fun. You have a favorite Final Fantasy? I got the chance to ask Brandon Sanderson at Dragon Con a few years ago. He said Final Fantasy X. All right. Here's a confession. I have never done the Final Fantasy thing. I have never been into the Final Fantasy games. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy. It's not my thing. Um, and yeah, so I'm just not on the Final Fantasy train. Oh, you're talking about the prequel books. I totally blanked. I totally blanked. You're talking about the Brian Herbert stuff. Because I'm like, you're saying Duke. You're talking about Dune. You're talking about, yeah, okay. I didn't know what you were talking about. Yeah, the Brian Herbert books. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just never did the Final Fantasy thing. It was never something that I ever did. Would I ever consider doing Tolkien lore videos? Perhaps. There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of people that make those at this point. So it's like, I like to find things that other people aren't doing, something that there's kind of a niche for, something that I can just come out and be like, yeah, people don't ask me about the Brian Herbert books. See, look, that's the thing about, I like to be modest when it comes to books that I read, right? Because I don't ever want to go out and start spewing off like I'm an expert on a book series that I don't know everything about, right? Like take Dune for instance, like the Frank Herbert ones. I read those books like so many times before I started making videos on them because I wanted to be clear. And there's so much you can miss. You forget names, you forget everything. So it's like if I'm gonna get on here and talk confidently about stuff, I need to know it. And when it comes to the Brian Herbert books, it's like I've read them all at this point, but like for me to go back and really start breaking them down and making videos on them, I need to go back, really read them, and really absorb everything. So I just have it all in my head. So when I can get on a live stream, I can just be like, yada yada yada. Here's everything I know. All right. 94 Evangelion says, "Hey Quinn, have you read any of George R. R. Martin's influences inspired by A Song by Fire, like Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and Tad Williams, or Robin Hobb?" I've read some Robin Hobb. I've read some Tad Williams. I have not read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, but people have suggested that to me. I've heard about the influence of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. So many super chats coming in tonight, guys. Thank you so much. Have you ever read Altered Carbon? I think it's one of the best modern cyberpunk sci-fi series, or Damon and the Freedom Team. I have never read Altered Carbon. I tried to watch the show a bit on Netflix, but I fell off of it. I didn't have time to really get into it. Quinn, if you do anything from the new books, can you do character assessments of Erasmus? He's my favorite character in Dune. All right, yeah. See, there's definitely more to come out of the Brian Herbert stuff, right? And out of the Kevin J. Anderson stuff. But right now, my main focus as far as Dune is getting this final chapter house video out, and then I will go into more Brian Herbert. Quinn, do you have a favorite Warhammer 40,000 book? I haven't read him. I haven't read him yet. Warhammer is something I'm dipping my toes in because everyone's been telling me it's so similar to Dune. So I've just now been dipping my toes into 40,000. Yeah, what about Sanderson? I've read a lot of Sanderson. He's good. Mistborn, The Way of Kings, classic. Sanderson's great. Thank you so much for your super chat, Chimp Dudley. Quinn, what's your favorite noble house aside from the High Lords of the Seven Kingdoms? I've always said, and I feel like I've been consistent in saying this. When it comes to favorite house, I think I don't have a favorite house. I am on the side of the people of Westeros. I think the people of Westeros need to stand up for themselves and topple this feudal system. And that's what Westeros needs, in my opinion. Colin Pint says, if I had money, I'd super chat. Well, it's the thought that counts. It's all of you being here with me that counts the most. All right. I think the time has come. All right. I said a few minutes ago that I was going to read just a little bit from my big binder of secrets. All right, so this is my Tadia binder. It has the script for my upcoming graphic novel Tadia, as well as all of the concept art that's come out so far. So we are just going to read just the beginning to give a little taste of my upcoming graphic novel Tadia. You can get put on the mailing list, link in the description. It is coming out in a few months. I will be sending it off. I will be sending the final script off to my artist very soon here for interpretation. All right. Let's go. Let's go. So part 1, the birth of Tadia. Let me make sure I'm in the microphone so everyone can hear. Narrative block. It was midnight and the silk glow of the half moon caressed the face of Mirath. There was a convergence in the air, and though there had been nights like this one before, there was something underneath the calm, shimmering quiet of this night that tickled the soul like a flickering image just out of sight. There was something in motion, something big. It hid in the dark just beyond the threshold of conscious perception. But all those under the moon of Marath, from the paltriest of animals sleeping uneasily in their burrows to the mightiest lords and barons throughout the kingdom, felt it, whether they realized or not. And this is a script, keep in mind, not a book. So, half moon behind a cloudy sky. 2 hooded figures move through the woods. Figures approach a gated manor. The gate is guarded by 2 armed men. Guard 1. Who goes there? Both figures' faces are obscured due to hoods which are slightly pointed. Figure 1. We have business with the Lord Steph is expecting us. Guard 1. The Lord Stephron mentioned nothing of expecting guest. Certainly not at this hour. Guard 1. I'm afraid we can't let you in. You'll have to turn back. Hooded figure 1. That won't be possible. The figure removes hood, revealing the face of a beautiful, golden-haired woman. We've come far too far to turn back now. Cut to Lord Stephron. Man in his early 50s stares into a fire while drinking from a goblet. His skin is olive and his hair is gray. He is dressed in fine night robes. His face is melancholy, his eyes somewhat sad. Stephron, narrative block. I need sleep, but these past few nights the dreams had returned. It had been many years since he had had these dreams. When he closed his eyes, he could see the magenta fire burning. He could even hear the singing voices of the women echoing through the forest. Guard 1 from behind, my lord. Lord Stephron, why do you disturb me at this hour? Guard 1, I apologize, my lord. There are visitors. Stephron, visitors? At this hour? Are you mad? I will not be seeing anyone tonight. Send them away. The guard, yes, my lord. Stephron turns back to the fire, thinking, visitors, and the hour of the wolf, echoing a different night a long time ago. Well, echoing a different night a lifetime ago. I am reminded of their dark shapes dancing through still woods, and of that icy voice whispering softly of a debt to be repaid. Stephron turns back to the guard as he is almost to the door. Wait, who are they? Guard, they did not give names, my lord, nor would they say where they traveled from, only that they traveled from afar. Stephron, and these men claim to know me? Guard, my lord, they aren't men. They are women, both of them. Stephron's expression becomes uneasy. All right, cut. The 2 cloaked women wait outside the castle with guard 2. Wait, misspoke. The 2 cloaked women wait inside the castle with guard 2. Both of their hoods are down, revealing one of them to be much older than the other. The older woman had black hair with some streaks of gray. She appeared to be about 60. The blonde woman looked closer to 30. Lord Stephron approaches them with guard 1 at his side. He comes forward to stand in front of both of them. Stephron, I am Lord Stephron Ammonius, Castellan of Rinbrook, vassal of King Gideon I. What business do you have with me at this hour? All right. Older woman, we know who you are, Lord Stephron Ammonius, and we know that you did not always go by that name. Stephron seems a bit shaken. What business do you have with me? It is late, and I have matters to attend to in the morning. Younger woman, Do you truly not know why we come? Though it has been many hours since the falling of the mother's spear, you have received us in your castle. Why is that if you do not know why we come, Stephron? Stephron smiled an unconfident smile. I see I have interrupted my rest without reason. I want these women out. Stephron turns away. Older woman, trust in your dreams, Lord Stephron, for there is only truth in them. Stephron stopped as he was turning away. What do you know of my dreams? Older woman, in your dreams sing the voices of my sisters, and so they shall remain until the pact is fulfilled. Stephron, pact? Enough games, Stephron. Well, this is the older woman. Enough games, Stephron. Or is it Aldius? Years ago, you sought us out in the Black Forest. For more than 3 decades, you have reaped the benefits of our gift. Now the time has come, Aldius. You must grant us a boon. Guard 2 heads towards the women. Guard 2, all right, that's enough. Stephron, no, leave them be. Stephron stared at the women. Stephron, what would you ask of me? The older woman. In exchange for our gifts, which have allowed you to rise from poverty, granted you wealth and power and respect, we ask but one thing, a simple thing, really. We require your eldest daughter. Stephron, you are mad. Younger woman, you forged a pact with the coven. It was sealed in your very blood. You will not deny us our boon. You are no king. Stephron, bargain or no, I will not give you my daughter. Take my life instead if you must. Older woman, your life is of no use to us. You have three other daughters and 2 sons. No, Stephron. You will have none of my children. I swear it. I would sooner see you both hanged. Older woman, you could try it, and still our sisters would take them all. You sealed this bond in blood. The older woman reaches inside of her cloak and pulled out a small circular object. It was a stone of some kind. She squeezed it in her hand, and Stephron fell to his knees. His guards rushed to him. Guard 1, what are you doing to him? Witch! Older woman, do you not remember Aldius? I remember when my sister pressed this very stone into your bleeding palm, and you spoke aloud our ancient words. You will do our bidding. You will willingly give us your firstborn daughter, or we will destroy all you hold dear. This castle shall fall upon their heads, and you shall know endless pain. Give us the one, or we shall take them all. All right, that is enough. So that is the opening. You know, right? You have some representatives from the daughters of Hecate coming to Lord Stephron to request their boon to come back and be like, now it's time for the payment for all the gifts that we've given you. All right, so if you wanna get put on the mailing list for my upcoming graphic novel Talia, which I was just reading the script from, please click the link in the description. Get put on the email mailing list. We've collected nearly 2,000 emails at this point. I mean, looking at it, and I've looked at a lot of different campaigns on Indiegogo, the way they usually go. We really do have the potential to make a really big. We really do have the potential to create a huge campaign with this book, right? And I am so incredibly passionate about the story. I've been working on it for a couple of years. And judging, but a lot of people create these campaigns and they don't have audiences, and it's all just the momentum building from the Indiegogo algorithm and just spreading it around. But I already have you guys. I have an audience. And, you know, judging by what I've seen, by the way these things tend to go, we could have a really big campaign on our hands. And I personally think the story is really good. I've tried to avoid a lot of tropes that I tend to see in a lot of fantasy that bothers me and that irks me. I'm trying not to be predictable here, but I am playing in kind of like, you know, the typical fantasy world. All right, so I do think I missed a super chat while I was reading, and yes, I did. 94 Evangelion says, if the spice melange existed in the real world, how would it impact our society, our governments, trade, economy, and culture? Same way that it does in Dune. Same way. Are you kidding me? A drug, like you've got a drug that makes you live forever. The same way, right? Not forever, but it extends your life, heightens your awareness. It has all these other properties that, you know, people might not even be familiar with. But yeah, it would become a valuable commodity. I mean, we might. I mean, if we could, we don't have the Holtzman engine, so we couldn't necessarily use it for space travel. But just the mere fact of having a substance that extends life. Oh, come on, come on, dude. It'd be huge. It would change. It would change so much. Hey Quinn, what are your thoughts on the prequel Game of Thrones House of the Dragon? I know Dragon Demand's been pushing for a good prequel based on Valyria, but do you reckon the prequel can redeem Game of Thrones? Look, for me, I am open about the show because it's based off of Fire and Blood. But for the average Game of Thrones person that's hurt by the show, I don't know if it will or not. I think there is still an audience for Game of Thrones, sure. But as far as it could be good, D&D are not attached to it, so it could be good. Has there been a book that made you visibly angry? Let's see. What have I read recently that made me angry? Like legitimately angry. Well, Discovery of Witches was pretty bad, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But that one didn't make me like angry. I did read that the most recent Dan Brown Robert Langdon book. God, what was it called? Origin. God, that one made me angry. Origin made me angry because Origin was kind of like, oh, it was so stupid. Like Origin, you know Robert Langdon, Da Vinci Code. It's all this. It's the same series that all those books are in. But what I hated about Origin so much was there's like a big event that happens in Inferno, which was also not really great. But like the event that happens, like a bunch of people get like 2/3 of the world or something gets like uh sterilized and they can't have children. And so in Origin, it's like it picks up and it's like, well, you're not going to address this, Dan Brown. And then the whole book was just really obvious. It's Dan Brown's formula. But I remember saying in the beginning of that book, because I don't care about spoiling this book, because don't read Origin. But in the beginning of that book, I was like, the AI is bad, isn't it? It's the AI. The AI artificial intelligence guy is behind all of this, right? That's the deal. And it's like I get to the end of the book, and that's Dan Brown's big reveal that the AI is bad. Oh my God, Dan Brown, you're so original. I've never read or seen anything where it's like bad artificial intelligence gone rogue. I've never seen that before, Dan Brown. You're so God. I used to really like Dan Brown when I was in high school. Like I lived for those books. I was like, because I liked, it was something appealing about it for me as a teenager. I was like, oh my God, I like the mystery. I like that they're like, he goes around the world and like uncovers all this stuff, And they were kind of like also taboo because people would be like, oh, don't read the Da Vinci Code because it's like, oh, it's the devil or whatever. Don't read the Da Vinci Code. So I got into it. But as an adult, looking back, I can see that Dan Brown is not he's not good. It's not good. Okay. AI is trying to do good and humans are foiling it or something. I agree with that to an extent, for sure. Please post this video on your channel. You said my name and my friends won't believe me. I love your channel. You're the best. We'll see, Colin Pint. Colin. I guess, sorry for calling you Colin. Colin. It's not Colin. Show that to your friends. Angels and Demons was a dope book back in high school. Yeah, I remember that one. That's the one where it's in the Vatican and stuff. That one's pretty good. Now, little known fact about that book. I believe in the movie, that book, the movie Angels and Demons is the sequel to Da Vinci Code. But the book Angels and Demons came out before the Da Vinci Code did. Chimp Dudley says, I love your work. What do you think about Aaliyah's fate in Children? Do you think she could have been a better expanded character? You should watch EVA. Aaliyah is a tragic character. To see her downfall, it's very sad, right? And it's not her fault. It really isn't her fault. Like Aaliyah becoming possessed and all of this happening to her is the result of Jessica leaving Arrakis and abandoning her on Arrakis alone without the guidance of her Bene Gesserit mother. And then 2, Paul walking out into the desert and also leaving her. So it was Aaliyah who's supposed to be in charge, but really like she's thought of as like, I guess, like the most powerful woman in the universe, essentially. But then on the inside, she's faced against this multitude of darkness and screaming voices, all vying for a place at the center of her consciousness. So the fact that she, managed to survive and struggle against that for as long as she did is a testament to how strong her will was, because a lot of the preborn, you would assume, wouldn't even last that long, because you're a child being faced with like the multitude, so that's really, it's sad. It's sad. But as far as I think Frank Herbert wanted to destroy the character. It was a part of her. As far as expand, I could do with a book expanding upon Aaliyah. That'd be interesting. I think, show more from her perspective, show more of, because in the same way that I guess kind of Dune skips and then you see Dune Messiah skips and then it's children. So you see Aaliyah at the end of Dune Messiah. You can kind of see the cracks starting to show. She's taking spice and overdosing and stuff like that. So you kind of see the cracks start to show. But then, man, once you get to children, it's already happened and she's already become possessed. So yeah, to see how exactly the process happened would be interesting. Thank you so much, Smokescreen. Congrats on the book. Thank you so much. 94 Evan Gelligan says, I found A Feast for Crows to be the most feminist Song of Ice and Fire, considering POVs of Elaine, Arya, Asha, Ariane, Brienne, and even Cersei. I wonder what Martin's intentions, I wonder what was Martin's intentions, the inherent misogyny in Westeros. Well, the inherent misogyny in Westeros, I think, is just reflective of, the way medieval societies were a lot of the times. But, I think Martin is really good at having this realistic portrayal. Brienne, for example, is someone that deals with a lot of misogyny, but she still comes out kind of on top. She's still like the most knight of anybody and, can take down pretty much anyone that is against her. Dolapo Fayemi. I probably say your name differently every time. And the frame narrative. Can you convince me to read the next book or not? Look, I have found that when it comes to Rothfuss, it's you either like it or you don't, right? I've seen people seem very split on Rothfuss. A lot of people are like, Koth is a Mary Sue. He just gets everything he wants, and he always weasels out of every situation. And really, the second book is more of that. So I'd say if you didn't like Name of the Wind, then you're probably not going to go for Wise Man's Fear. So I have a friend of mine, one of my closest friends actually. She read Name of the Wind because I suggested it, and she hated it. And she's always bringing it up to me how she hated it. And she's like, I'm not reading Wise Man's Fear. She's like, screw off. She's like, if Doors of Stone comes out and it's good, then maybe I'll pick up Wise Man's Fear. But so far, she's like, I don't feel like it's going anywhere. She feels like Rothfuss is just like stringing you along. But I love Rothfuss's writing style, and I think he's good, and I love the world building. So you have to be ready to read it. I like King Killer. I like King Killer. Love your channel. I am now reading Dune for the first time. Curious if you plan or have any interest in tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. See, I have interest in Dungeons and Dragons. I do. I've never played it because I've never had I've never had a group of nerdy enough friends nearby enough and willing to all come together and play it before. So I've just never had the opportunity, because you need a group of people to play Dungeons and Dragons with. I know a lot of people play it online now with people, so that could be a viable option potentially. Granny, you think the Dune trailer is going to play during the Super Bowl? That'd be cool. A lot of people are saying Comic-Con. That'll happen at Comic-Con, maybe. I know this trailer is going to be epic. Like, I'm beyond excited for the Dune trailer. Like, it's just what people have said about it is really exciting so far. And just seeing, yeah, I'm ready. I'm hyped. They say hype is the mind killer, but I mean, I think a reasonable degree of hype is okay, right? As long as you're willing to temper that hype when the actual thing comes out. And I know I will. I'll be honest about it when it comes out. If I have gripes with the movie, I'll express them. If I really like the movie, I'll express that, you know? Thanks, Quinn, for giving me a better understanding of Dune. It is the story that sticks with me more than any other book I've read. Well, that's excellent. I definitely felt something change when I read Dune, right? It was almost like it set off something in my brain, right? And I couldn't stop thinking about it and I couldn't stop talking about it. And that was the driving factor behind me starting to make Dune videos on this channel, which is because I read Dune and I was like, I need to express the feelings that I'm having about this series. I really do. Q&A. What advice do you have on new writers? Also, how did you feel seeing more people empathize with your problems with the show, with the backlash season 8 received? Well, my thing with writers, I say just write, and then writing is just really the process of rewriting and rewriting, taking out things that don't make sense, adding in things, and making it look like you planned it from the beginning. That's what writing is. And as far as how did you feel seeing more people empathize with your problems with the show after the backlash season 8 received? Good. I feel good. I knew that I would. You know, I hope that people would eventually wake up and see that the show was bad. Or that at least it ended really bad and there were problems that you could recognize before. But yeah, it was validating. It was validating. And I even have people that are like, oh yeah, I hated on you before, but now coming back and looking at this, it seemed like you were totally right and I was just hating. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right, because look, right? I reviewed Game of Thrones and I feel like I was like, okay, this is what's good and this is what's bad. I never just came to Game of Thrones, even after seeing a bad season, I never came in. I'm just like, I'm gonna hate on this just because. I always came at it with an open mind. You know, that's why it kind of bugs me with the Picard people that are just like trashing Picard, like off of one episode. And also too with the Picard thing, it's not just that they're trashing it off of this episode. They've been trashing Picard since before it even started airing. So the same people that are bitching about how they're such big fans of Star Trek and how this is such a disgrace are the same assholes that were bitching about how it was going to suck before because of wokeness, right? So you're totally transparent and you're not actual Star Trek people. I got off track, but yeah, look, there are valid criticisms that you can have with the show. We're like, yeah, it's not respectful to the source material. It's silly, whatever. And then there's just invalid nitpicks that are just like, give me a break, right? Really give me a break. What's the cringiest moment from the show? God, there's so many cringy moments, like bad pussy, finger in the bum. Uh, so much pure cringe. It's too much. You need a manual, says Picard is fine. I like it. Only one episode so far. Yeah, exactly. I like it. And, you know, it's crazy. And it kind of annoys me too that if the show actually does like get bad, that like I have to defend it so harshly now because it's like I feel like the criticisms against it as they stand now are such bullshit that I'm just like, I feel like I've got to step in and be like, you're full of it, right? But if the show actually starts to get bad, then it's like, well, whatever. Hey, Quinn, thanks for your message. What are your thoughts from the news sites who were Game of Thrones / so D&D sympathizers? Well, we don't need to get into that. You know, each their own. You know, I've had problems with people in the past, and I've been open about what happened at Con of Thrones. You know, I'm not going to Con of Thrones ever again, right? I wouldn't encourage anybody that I know to go to Con of Thrones, right? You know, the YouTubers that are going to Con of Thrones in the community, those people are cool. But the people behind the convention had issues with me for a really long time that they didn't express, and it manifested at the convention in really just disgusting ways on their parts. And when they got called out about it online by people, especially Sue Miller, right? When she got called out, she was very disrespectful to me on Twitter. It was basically, and it wasn't even me posting it. Someone else posted a panel and was like, look at how they just won't let Quin talk. And it's like, oh, and I responded to the tweet. I'm like, yeah, it's part of the reason why I'm not going back. And she responds as if she didn't like block me and do all this stuff just a few days ago. Quin, if there was ever an issue, you could have messaged me. I'm gonna message you when you're one of the ones that's when you're one of the main ones that's like running popping off at the mouth about me to everyone. You can fuck all the way off, and you can take your stupid Con of Thrones convention and shove it right up your pretentious, full of yourself ass. You privilege, you, because I can sniff the privilege wafting off of some of these people, right? You know, those people can shove it. I'm not going to Con of Thrones ever, right? Ever again, ever, right? I might go to Ice and Fire Con. Those people seem cool. I'm not going to Con of Thrones, and I wouldn't recommend anybody go. So that's all I have to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. Quin's idea. I love your videos. After that excerpt, I can't wait for the book. And have you been watching Black Sails? I have seen Black Sails. I have not finished it. I'm only like, I think I'm at the end of season 2 on Black Sails. I fell off of it for a while. I gotta get back into it, but it was good. I like it. I like it a lot. Betrayal, pirates. I'm digging it. See that I was a little bit thrown for a loop when I first started watching it because I was under the impression that it would be like a fantasy thing, but it's not. It's just like historical fiction with pirates, which is cool too. But you know, I like it. I should watch Rome on HBO. It was the precursor to Game of Thrones, basically. I hear a lot of people say that Game of Thrones got made because Rome was never able to get made. Heidi says, "What do you mean late night? It's 10 in the morning." Well, for you, for me, it's 4 a.m. It's 4 a.m. over here. Go to Con, Quin. Be the voice of reason. You know, there is no use in being a voice of reason when you've got people that, you know, gang up and form, you know, mobs and try and destroy people. And then that, you know, sniff, you know, they're constantly jerking each other out, telling each other how awesome they are. You know, I just can't handle that stuff. Like, because I'm like, if you don't like me, just tell me you don't like me. I don't need your fakery. I don't need you inviting me to your convention just for my influence and then treating me like garbage when I get there. So I'm not supporting those people. 13. What about Spartacus? I did see Spartacus. I never finished Spartacus. That final season of Spartacus fizzled out for me. I never watched the end of it. Joshua Mannon, a similar story. I watched the first season of Westworld, and I felt throughout the first season that it was kind of stringing me along. I felt like that first season could have been like half what it was. And I just never picked it back up. I was just like, whatever. I never watched it. Mm. Yep. Smitty, I love Adventure Time. And I'm so excited for the HBO Max movies that they're doing or whatever they're doing. They're doing some Adventure Time thing. I'm excited to see Adventure Time. Very excited. Daddy, why did you eat my fries? I bought them and they were mine. Adventure Time is great. I have seen Farscape. I need to get into Farscape though. That's one of the ones where I've tried to go back and watch as an adult, but I just never really just got into it. I should though. It seems like I really would like it. Favorite Adventure Time episode? That's like freaking impossible. I do like the Marceline one where she's like hunting down all the vampires. That one's cool. And then the finale was really good. That song, the BMO song, makes me cry, man. The BMO song, you know, time is an illusion that helps things make sense. And so we're always living in the present tense. It seems so unforgiving when a good thing ends. But you and I will always be back then. It's a good song. Will happen, happening, happen. Will happen, happening, happen. Will happen again and again. Because you and I will always be back then. You know, what's the lady's name that writes all the songs for Adventure Time? And she also did the the Steven Universe music. I forget her name, but she's really good. She's got a lot of really good ones. Dude, is BMO a girl and a football? Wait, BMO is a girl and a football is a boy. I think BMO's a boy. He's a robot boy. BMO's a robot boy. Rebecca Sugar, yeah, Rebecca Sugar. She's really good, man. She's really good. That song that she sings about the Marceline French fry. What is that the one? What's the Marceline one? It's not the Eat My Fries one, but it's the one about everything stays. Everything stays right where you left it. Everything stays, but it still changes. You know those minor chords? Ever so slightly, daily and nightly, in little ways, everything stays. You know, I think it's the chord that makes it sing. The chords are just like sad, you know. You know what? You know, she on Lionel's whatever, however you say your name. You can screw off. Sing if I want. Sing if I want to. Okay. Please tell me you have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I have seen that. Yeah, that show was on Nickelodeon when I was younger. I need to go back and look at it with adult eyes, though. I probably do need to do that because I haven't watched it as an adult. Okay, Dune related question. Have you heard of the Dune board game released back in 1979? Yes. I didn't they re-release it? I'm pretty sure I saw something where they re-released it. They re-released it. And I saw like a new version of it or something. I've never played it. Never had the opportunity to. I think it's another one of those ones where you need like a whole group of people to play it. So it's yeah. I think I saw a video on it. Yeah, I saw a video on it. Which of the illustrated versions of the first Dune book do you prefer? Which ones are there? I have an Eastern Press copy. Oh, do you mean out of the ones that I have? I mean, I like both of the copies that I have. I have 3 copies at this point, but 2 of them have illustrations in them. And one of them was like I got from Barnes and Noble, and one of them is an Eastern Press copy that I got as a gift. Are you going to do more streams with LML Quinn? I love the mix of your styles and the streams you guys have done. We'll probably do more streams for sure. Tyson Robertson says, Comic Book Girl 19. What about her? She's super cool. I suggest if anybody wants to learn about Dune, you could check out her Dune Club that she did a few years ago. It's really good. And she really sits down and breaks it all down. It's good. And she covers a lot of the metaphysical stuff in Dune. That's more her camp. Do you watch anything more campy like Supernatural? I've seen Supernatural, right? But as far as like campy, right now, my main guilty pleasure is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I love Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I love it. I really like the graphic novel, right? And the guy that wrote the graphic novel is taking a break to do the show. And so it's like, okay, the only way I'm gonna get, I guess, like the root of like some of these ideas in the graphic novel is through the show, because it doesn't seem like he's gonna finish the graphic novel when he's working on the show and it's so popular. But apparently season 4 of Sabrina is the last one, which is like, but also it's kind of like cool because it's like maybe he did really have a solid one story and he wanted to tell it, so it's 4 parts, which I respect. A live stream of the Dune game with Comic Book Girl 19 mastered by Matt Colville. That would be cool. That would be cool. Comic Book Girl 19, I do look up to her a lot. She's a major influence. As far as not even just beyond Dune stuff, though, like her, when she did those epic history Game of Thrones videos, that was a huge part of the reason that I decided to make a channel, because I wanted to make videos that were like a fraction of as good as those. Am I a Harry Potter fan? Indeed, I am. I love Harry Potter. I've read every book, seen every movie. There's only 2 Fantastic Beast out, right? There's not another one yet, is there? There's only 2 of those. I've seen both of them. The Johnny Depp one was like, but yeah, Harry Potter, love it. Hey, Chef Hand Grenade says, just discover your channel and think about starting. Dude, the story is the story fairly contained, or do you have to read the whole saga? I'll probably read the later books if I like the first one. You can totally just read Dune if you want as one thing, as one book. But the story expands and you learn more about what Frank Herbert was actually intending to do as the books go on. And certain things a lot of these things aren't necessarily as clear in the first book. So it's more about, the overarching theme becomes clear later on. All right, guys. So I think I'm getting ready to wrap this up. Late night stream. Please, guys, get put on the mailing list. Link in the description for my upcoming graphic novel, Tadia. You can rewind this. It'll be up for a little bit. Actually, I'll probably put this in the playlist on the channel, but this stream will be unlisted, so it won't be necessarily easy to find. Go to my channel, click on the live streams playlist. There's a bunch of unlisted live streams there because I don't keep them listed on the main channel. But yeah, you could go back and watch it potentially. Get put on the mailing list for Tadia, my graphic novel. Rewind if you missed the earlier part where I was reading the opening. Thank you guys so much for coming on here and listening. Peace out. All right, so glad this is over. God, I hate my subscribers. God, I hate those people. God, if I could just not do this. If I could just not be a YouTuber. Lily, bring in the heroin. Where's my heroin? I need my heroin. Where's my heroin and vodka? I don't care if you're whipping the children. Oh my God, am I still streaming? Oh God, you guys didn't hear that. You didn't hear any of that. You didn't hear any of that. Peace, guys.